Hasn't this been a fun night so far? Amen. Thank you, Lord. We are having an event. So the title of tonight's message, we're carrying on in the book of John. We can title it, What Happened to My Sin? Or Where Did My Sin Go? Or whatever you like. You write it down in your book. Okay. Let's go to John 1, verses 29. John 1, verse 29. If you stayed home to watch the football last week, I'd like you to raise your hand. No, I'm kidding. We missed you and welcome back. Should have seen the looks on your faces. It was very funny. Thinking, should I lie in church? Should I be honest? What should I do? All right. John 1, verse 29. The next day, John saw Jesus coming to him and he said, Look, there is the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. There is the Lamb of God that takes away the sin of the world. Now, I'm willing to bet that we have all heard that verse. But we are going to dig into this verse tonight, and I believe with all my heart that you can leave here free tonight. And I'm talking to everyone. As I have been studying and praying, God has been revealing in my own life how much bondage I live with. Last week we dealt with parasites. These things in our lives that no matter how much we fuel ourselves for God, it just drains us of our nutrients. And we never get to that next level because there are these things in our life that continually drain us. Tonight we are dealing with the aspect of sin and freedom. God has confirmed this so many times tonight through what He showed Kurt, to the word that He gave us, that He is here to set us free tonight. He has a peace that passes understanding, and we can leave feeling like we've never felt before. Because freedom is part of the package. It is an essential part of the package. Freedom. Jesus came and it says He took our sins away. He took our sins away. And we are going to get deep into this tonight. He took our sins away. Now, what that should spark off in your mind is then, why do I have so many sins? If Jesus took my sins away, then how come my life is plagued with them? If Jesus set me free from worry, then why is my body sick from worry? If Jesus made it possible for me to live without stress, then why am I stressed? These are the questions that we should be asking ourselves when we read, and it says that He took the sin away. He took the sin away. Amen? Let's go to James 4, verse 17. Somebody read that for me when you get there, please, and shout out the page number. 1198. Anyone knows to do good and does not do it, sins. To him it is sin. So what is sin? Sin is when God has revealed truth to you and you rather choose to believe a lie. That is what sin is. When God has revealed truth to you and you rather believe a lie. Sin is anything that is contradictory to God's way, to God's path. That is what sin is. Now I want you to briefly examine your life as I have been mine. And look at how many times our life is plagued with sin. Our life is plagued with sin. Now, is there power in a lie? For instance, if I said I am Charles Barkley, there's a few problems with that statement. Very easy to identify that I'm not Charles Barkley. All right? For those of you who don't know who he is a retired, excellent basketball player. Now, there's no power in that lie because you can see right through it. But what happens if you had never seen TV and I arrived in your hometown and I said, I'm Charles Barkley, baby? Right? If you believe that lie has power. Would you agree? Then you'd be asking me for my autograph, and I'd be autographing stuff, and you'd be getting so excited because you had met Charles Barkley, but you were believing in a lie. So a lie has no power unless you believe in it. A lie has no power unless you believe in it. And this is the reason why Satan has so much power in our lives. Because we believe his lies. I could never understand how Jesus came. He defeated the devil. He took all authority from him and he gave it to us, and yet the devil still has authority. Has anyone ever wondered that? Did Jesus not do a good enough job? He left several teeth in his mouth, or what did he do? He only broke one arm, but he still left him with power. The reason is because we believe a lie, and we, through that, empower the devil. Sickness. According to the Bible, we can be free from sickness, yet a majority of us sitting right here are sick. Or we have symptoms of sickness. Correct? So what's going on? Somewhere along the line, the devil delivered a package of a cough, a sniff, a CAT scan that showed negative results, and he delivered it to our door. And he said, I've got some sickness here for you. And you said, thank you, I've been expecting that. Why don't you just sit that on the coffee table? Things are going well with your spouse, and the next minute, a demon arrives with some strife, with a nice bow. And you say, that's fantastic. You know, the waters were too calm. I like some rough sea. Why don't you just put that right in the middle of my dining room table? And we accept it. We are supposed to be the example of what it's like to see peace. When people look at us, they should say, wow, so that's what peace looks like. That's what joy looks like. That's what self-control looks like. That's what God looks like. That's what people are supposed to be saying. But if they put us in a crowd of 100 people, mixed non-Christians, Christians, Buddhists, whatever you want to do it, I'm willing to bet, except if the Buddhists had those cool orange robes on, they wouldn't be able to pick us out who was different from who. I've seen Ace Ventura. I know all there is to know. Amen? Who agrees? Well, this is what I want to tell you tonight. It is so strong on my heart tonight that we can be set free. Last week I stood up here and I told you that I had parasites in my life, things that were draining the life out of me. Every time I'd fill myself with God's life, these things would just drain it out of me. And while I was talking, while we were praying, I felt God remove this thing from me. And this week I had a week like I never had. But then God showed me some more things that he wants to do, more things that he wants to set me free. And I got very excited. I got very excited because this is his word, not just for me, but for us as a body tonight. Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen an Olympic gymnast? There we go. Have you seen how flexible they are? They can do the most amazing things. Why? Because they're flexible. If they were bound, they would do the tricks that you and I do. You know, we can hop a little bit or something. But they can do the splits, they can roll. They are enjoying the human body like most of us will never be able to enjoy. You know why? Because their bodies are free. Over the years, we've allowed tension to come into our muscles and it's locked us down. This is what has happened to our life. We read that we can do flick-flacks. We can jump high. We can jump over walls. These are the things that God is describing, the things we can accomplish in our life. And we say, no ways. And we sit back in our rocking chair because that's what we think our life is. But I'm telling you tonight, you are going to get free. You're going to get free. And I've got one job to do tonight, and that's to point you towards this cross. This is why this cross is here tonight. You might think it's cheesy. I think it's fantastic. Point of contact. Point of contact. There was a woman in the Bible who had been suffering with the issue of blood for many, many years. And she said, if I can just touch Jesus' robe. That was her point of contact. Tonight, our point of contact is this cross. Because I want to remind you that Jesus' body was ripped apart to provide us with something called freedom. Who Christ sets free is free indeed. When last did somebody look at you and say, you are free indeed? No one has ever said that to me. No one has ever said, Brent, you are the epitome of peace. They have described many other words which I will not tell you. But peace was not one of them. But you know what? Peace is going to be one of them after tonight. Because I'm getting free. I'm getting free. We are rebuilding our foundation. Yes, I can teach you about Revelations. No, I'm actually kidding. I can't. But I can teach you about the horsemen and all of that stuff. And you know what? It will do nothing. Why? Because your foundation is not solid. So it's just going to roll off. The devil comes with what? Cares of this world. Riches. And it just steals our seed. Well, tonight is a soil night. Tonight we are fixing our soil. Can I get an amen? Amen. Amen. Turn to Matthew 16 verse 24. Please. Jesus came and he took our sin away. He took our sin away. I'm going to read it from the Message. Shout out the page number, please. Marky Mark. 973. Then Jesus went to work on his disciples. Anyone who intends to come with me has to let me lead. You are not in the driver's seat, I am. Don't run from suffering, embrace it. Follow me and I will show you. Self-help is no help at all. Self-sacrifice is the way, my way, to finding yourself, your true self. What kind of deal is it to get everything you want but lose yourself? What could you trade your soul for? You know, when I would think about that verse, when I'd hear it in church, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? I never ever thought that could ever be me. That was the guy who had billions of dollars. Right? That's the only guy who's inheriting the whole world. But I know a lot of people that earn $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year that have lost their soul. Because they traded God for something much less that they wanted. And they went after something much smaller. And they lost their soul for it. You went after the wrong partner. And you cost your relationship with God because you were so intent on pursuing this one thing. You went after the wrong job. And you cost yourself because you were so intent on pursuing this thing. I've been there. Anyone else been there? But God is so faithful. But let me tell you what God has been showing me. We say that we come to God and that He is number one, that He is welcome to everything in my life, but the minute He puts His hand in, we slap Him and say, what do you think you're doing? Right? We come here and we say, Lord, whatever you want, and He whispers in our ear, it's time to break up with your boyfriend. And you say anything else that you want, Lord, but not that. And then God doesn't speak again, and then you say, God never speaks to me. Right? How do I know this? Because I've been there. I've been there. I've had some locked rooms in my house, in my spiritual house, that had a no entry sign to God. Last week, God convicted me. I said that if God ever wanted me to take my computer out of my house, He'd have to appear to me on a white horse. I said that from the stage. And then God convicted me and said, that is a no entry sign in your life. Now, is a computer evil? No. It's one of my best friends. I sometimes take it to bed with me. But if I'm honest, that computer has been a no entry sign for God. Yes, I use it for God's purposes, absolutely. But for God to call me out of that, to let the computer go completely, is not something I've been even willing to entertain. Maybe God doesn't want to even do that. But the fact is, I've had a no entry sign on that. And I'm asking you tonight, where have you had a no entry sign to God in your life? It might be relationships. It might be job. It might be habits. It might be movie choices. It might be something as simple as chocolates. Where have you been shutting God down? Because if you shut him down in one area, you shut him down in everything. When we're talking about the spiritual gifts, everybody all gets worked up over tongues. Tongues is the smallest part of what God has for us. But if you'll shut him down on that, you'll shut him down on everything. Amen? So you say, so now God comes to your door with the package of tongues, and it looks really weird. It's pink and long. And he comes to deliver, and you say, have you got anything else in the truck? Thank you, but it's like really weird, and my house is very modern. Sharp edges. That's just not going to fit in here. My friends won't like it. Put them off their meal. Amen? Or maybe God is trying to get you to befriend somebody that doesn't fit in with your type. And you're saying, Lord, who would you like me to minister to? And he keeps bringing up this one person. You're like, but not that person. Anybody else? Lord, when are you going to use me for something great? And your friend calls you and says, can we have Bible study in your house? And you're like, no. But Lord, when will you speak to me and use me for something great? I've been there. I told you my story. I prayed for God to use me for great things. And Michelle Woodrow called me to teach the 2-year-olds. Right? But fortunately, I'd learned my lesson already. That these are the things that God does. These are the way he opens up great opportunity. David, faithful, looking after sheep. Never in his wildest dreams did he dream he was going to become one of the greatest kings Israel ever had, looking after sheep. But you know what? He said, Lord, my life is yours. If you want me to look after sheep, I'll look after sheep. But let me tell you a little secret about God. If you will give him everything, he will give you everything plus more. But first, you've got to let go. You first got to give him everything. So I'm asking you tonight to let go. To let go. Every time you hear God's word, every time you read the Bible, every time you hear a message, there is something in your heart that churns, that makes you uncomfortable because you know you've got to let something go. Who knows what I'm talking about? There's something you're like, oh, yeah, I really got to deal with it, but I'll deal with it another time. Yes, Lord, I know, you wanted me to, to move. Or Lord, I know you want me to come to the earlier service. Or Lord, I know, whatever it is, that thing that rises up in you every time you're getting around the anointing, I'm asking you to let that go and give it to God. Listen to this. Here's are the things that we need to let go. The past. I think that is the biggest things that people struggle with. Paul in Philippians 3:13 says, I bring all my energies to this one thing. What was that one thing? Forgetting the past, forgetting those things that are behind. All his energies to just forget that one thing. How many of you have ever killed an animal in your car? Don't worry, they can't see your hands. Greenpeace or whatever, it's not going to get you. Did you feel rubbish about that? Did it maybe plague you in your sleep? And you just felt terrible. Hey, how did I kill that squirrel? Right? Or maybe you did it on purpose. Doesn't matter. Now let me take you to the life of Paul. Do you know how many families Paul destroyed single-handedly? Families, he pulled fathers out, he pulled mothers out, he dragged them to prison. Do you know how many families Paul destroyed? And then he said, I've wronged no man. You know what? That brother was free. That brother was free because he realized, you know what? What I did in ignorance. I did in stupidity. But now I've got Christ. You know, I've wronged no man. Who Christ sets free is? Free indeed. Who Christ sets free is? Free indeed. We have as many, and I'm in this group with you. I'm not excluding myself. We have as many emotional problems and baggage as the rest of the world. Do you agree? If you look in the church and you look at marriages, you look at people's lives, you look at unforgiveness, you look at hurts, you look at business things, there's no difference in the church and out of the church. But who Christ sets free is free indeed. And we are about to get free. We are going back to the basic to get free. We are going to see God the way the disciples saw him. And you know what? They saw a man who set the captive free. They saw a man who set the captive free. He stood up and he said, I've been anointed for what? To set the captive free. And you say, but I'm a Christian. I can't be captive. I've been a Christian my whole life, and I've been captive. The past. Attachment to parents, to family, to friends. Are those no-go zones for you? You know how hard it is for me to be apart from my brother. Clint and I, it's like we share a brain. We share a heart. Him and I can start a joke and we're thinking the same things. I'd love to go on some game show where you have to guess what the other person's thinking. We'd win. But you know what? God's plan right now is that he is in Chicago and I'm here. That was a no-go zone for me. And I said, Lord, I've got to give it to you. I've got to give it to you. Maybe you're too scared to move away from your family, from your friends, and you've got legitimate reasons why to stay there. But when the dust settles, you know that what God is calling you to do. I'm asking you tonight, I'm begging you, let go. My false self, my old self, my ego. Attachment to memories, events, and places. How many of you loved the house that you stayed in when you were young? Not a trick question. It's okay. I loved my house too. It was great. We had a big garden, tennis court, and a highway. Nothing like living on the highway. But I really did love my house. Now, how many of you ever, now you got your partner or you got a friend and you were telling them all about your house, and this room is blue, this room is yellow, and here you can see the plants come and all this, and you're so excited, you're telling them about your house, and you say, oh, come, let me go show you. And many years later, you got to show your friend your house, and the house is no longer there. It's been knocked down, and a building is there in its place, and a restaurant is there in its place. Where is the only place that house exists? In your mind. Do you know where your past exists? In your mind. You know why? Because Jesus went and he took it as far as the east is from the west. As far as the east is from the west. If you beat yourself up over your past, I want you in your mind to go visit it and see that it is no longer there. It is no longer there. The devil uses our past to keep us bound and trapped, and it's a lie, and we believe in that lie. Jesus took it away. And you're saying, and he's saying, go outside and look. It's not there. I took it away. I came with a Big Mac truck with the flags on the side to say wide load, and I took it away. Amen? Fear. Even the fear of letting go. Let it go tonight. Guilt, blame, shame, disappointment in people, disappointment in God. I want to tell you what, you are not sinning to tell God how you feel. It becomes sin when you don't embrace what he has for you and you don't choose to go his way instead of the world's way. What am I talking about? You don't think it crossed my mind when I have seen God heal so many people, when I teach about healing and my entire household was sick for 2 weeks. You don't think that some thoughts came in my mind that I didn't go to God and say, Lord, I don't understand what's going on. Why aren't you healing my family? You are the healer. You are the mighty God. I came to God honestly, but that's not where I stopped. By the time I left there, I said, you are my healer. You will heal my family. You are a good father. I am trusting you. Do you see the difference? But come to God with honesty. Cast your care onto him. Cast your burden onto him. That's how you do it. And then take what he has for you. Take what he has, his word, his love, his promise. I want you to let go of what you think you deserve. Let go of what you think you deserve from people. That person should have apologized to me. That person should have greeted me. I want you to let it go tonight, because all of those things keep us in bondage. I hear when Pastor Derek says, when he talks about the communion, he says, if you have anything against your brother, go make right before you come have the communion. I know people who are fighting in the church, and they both come down and have communion and ignore each other while they're there. They happen to get to the table at the same time. And then we wonder why communion had no effect on us. Make sense? We're so bound up. I'm willing to, I'll bet you money, if that person, before they took communion, said, I'm sorry, I love you, and then took communion, they had the best Sunday they ever had. Have you ever experienced that? You've gone and made right with someone, and there was this freedom like you hadn't had all week. That's what freedom is. The devil uses a lie to keep us in bondage. The label, doubt, the known, ideas of security, other people's opinions of me, judgments about me, my own judgments, false beliefs about myself, about my life, conditioning by the world, my defenses, my future. Let it go. Jesus was born in a stable. He was born in a stable. He didn't worry. He didn't worry. He had the wealth of heaven at his disposal, and he didn't worry. Here's the beautiful thing. He never wanted either. He never wanted either. Now, I'm not going to contradict the message of blessing. God, you look at the prodigal son. The first thing the father gives him is blessing. Right? But you know what he had to do first? He had to say, Lord, I just want to be your servant. Let me just be your servant. And what came instantly? The blessing. And you can't trick God. Okay, I'm going to pretend to be your servant and bless me. You can't trick him. It's got to be honest. It's got to be pure. Lord, I don't care. I don't need anything. I just need you. And when God arrives, he arrives with a posse like you have never seen. The president rolls with 4 Chevrolets or whatever those, what are those cool? Suburbans with the spinning wheels. When God shows up, it is just incredible. Because who Christ sets free is free indeed. Why? Because he took my sin and he took it away. He took it away. Can I use a computer analogy, please? Just bursting. Who knows what an icon is? Okay. If you don't, put your computer back in the box. Who knows what a shortcut is? Now that's getting really technical. A shortcut is a graphical representation of something else that's not really there. So when someone calls me and says, it says Internet Explorer on my desktop, and I'd like to clean up my desktop, but I know if I delete Internet Explorer, it's going to delete the whole program. And I say, no, it's just a shortcut. That's not really it. That's not really it. Or what will happen is we'll clear off some spyware off the computer, and we'll delete all the files, but it leaves a shortcut that it exists on the desktop. But the program is not really there. It's just a shortcut, pretending that it's there. This is what has happened in our life. The devil has filled our lives with shortcuts that point to a lie. Our desktop is full of programs that don't really exist. But as long as you believe that program is there, you will be bound by what you see. But faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Not seen. So you're looking at your life and you're saying, but I'm looking at my body. I'm clearly sick. What are you telling me I'm not sick? I just vomited blood. Shortcuts. Shortcuts. Because there is a power that says you are healed. It says 2,000 years ago, you are healed. And sometimes those shortcuts are not so easy to delete. They take the power of Jesus to come and clear that shortcut off your desktop. This is what I'm asking you to do tonight. I want you to look at this cross tonight as a symbol. As a symbol of what Jesus did on the cross. When it said that he took the sin of the world. When it said that he set me free. This is what I want you to do tonight. I want you to be like that woman who said, if I can just touch Jesus' cloak. There's pins here. Everybody's got paper, got a pen. I want you to just spend 5 minutes. It might be the greatest 5 minutes you have spent this far. I want you to write down every person that you are holding in unforgiveness. I want you to write down everything that you have been giving a no sign to God for. No entry sign. I want you to write down the things that you have been saying, no, Lord, I can't let that go. I want you to let it go. Disappointment with God, I want you to let it go. Tonight is the night that you get free. There's nothing powerful about this piece of wood, but there's something powerful about somebody who comes to Jesus with faith and says, Lord, if I can touch your robe, I will be healed. Amen? If you don't have a piece of paper, lift your hand. The image that God gave Kurt when he was praying about a wounded soldier, God gave me in my preparation about a wounded animal. There is this beautiful animal, just incredible to behold. And a hunter came along and shot this animal. And this animal has this arrow stuck in its side, and it's trying to walk, it's trying to get up, it's trying to move to become what it was made to be. But because of this thing stuck in its side, it keeps falling down. And along comes someone to try pull this arrow out. And as this person comes up to this beautiful creature to pull this out, as it goes to pull the arrow, it hurts even more. So the animal kicks and bucks and pushes the person away. So the person tries again to try pull this arrow out. Eventually this person calms the animal down and says, I'm here to help you. What I'm doing is for your best. I need to pull this out and it might hurt. But when this is out, you will be what you are supposed to be. That is how Jesus comes to us. There are things that He's asking us to do that are going to hurt like hell. When He goes to pull this thing out, and you say, that can't possibly be God, that can't possibly be good, how can you ask me to do that when it hurts so badly? He might be asking you to step out of an ungodly relationship, and it's like somebody pulling on an arrow. But if you do not get that arrow out of your system, you're going to die. You're going to die spiritually. Your life is never going to be what it is supposed to be. And that is a word from the Lord. Tonight you have got to let go, and you've got to say, God, what you've got to pull out of me, you pull out of me. Because I want to be what I was made to be. To be all that I was made to be. I don't want to limp around life, crawl around life, and then say how good God is, and crawl around here bounded by drama, by stress, by pain, by emotional issues. Lord, you pull it out of me tonight. Pull it out of me, whatever it is, whatever you have been asking, I'll ask you to pull it out. I want you to come up and I want you to nail this thing to the cross. This isn't a show or anything like that, but I want you to think of that woman and say, Lord, if I just touch his cloak. And when you put that in, you say, Lord, I'm asking you to set me free of what is on this paper. I don't have to know, and I won't read what's on those things. But you got right honestly. If you've got an addiction that you are so shameful about, you come and you nail it to that cross tonight. And you say, Lord, you set me free. Who Christ sets free is free indeed. Behold, the Lamb that takes away the sin of the world. So, bow your heads and let me pray. And then it's up to you. Lord, I thank you for every precious person that is here tonight. I thank you for your word. I thank you for your power. I thank you, Jesus, that you came and you took the sin away. I ask you now, deal with our hearts. Show us, Holy Spirit, what you have been knocking at the door to say, give me that trash, let me take it out. Let us let go, let us give it to you tonight. Let us leave here free to run, free to dance, not worrying about what people think. Free of addictions, free of shame. In the name of Jesus. Amen.